When I started learning English, I thought it would be impossible to master this language without being in an English-speaking country. Because I'm from Pakistan and I've never been to an English-speaking country, uh, and that's what I used to think, and I used to hold on to this belief. But then one day, luckily, I met someone online, and he and I were talking in English. He was a native English speaker, and then he said, "Abu Mahir, you've got pretty decent English." And that really took me by surprise because until that very moment, I used to think that I've got broken English, my grammar is terrible, and there's absolutely no way for me to ever learn this language without going into an English speaking country. But that day, everything changed for me because I realized that the system that I was actually using to learn this language, it actually worked out. Because I became more and more effortless in my English speaking ability. And had it not be for that guy, I think I would have still believed that only and only going to an English speaking country can only make me speak better. So today I want to talk about some very important rules that can help you improve your English, especially for a lot of people who think that they cannot speak English because their grammar sucks. And I'm here. I want to make this video because I feel like this is a pretty slack, lazy argument to make. I think every one of us is. We make mistakes at first shot. Nobody's perfect, and especially for when you're learning a new language, come on, it's incredibly hard thing to do at first. But again, if your grammar is broken, that's not a big deal. And today I want to talk about exactly like how to speak English without any grammar mistakes. So the first thing that really helped me improve my English and that actually had a very drastic impact on my overall speaking was that I always focused on the practical side of the language, which means that the moment I used to watch any English video, I used to actually capture those expressions that the guy was talking, and I would literally like steal those impressions and then I would actually emulate them in my discussions, like when I was talking to my friend or my teachers. And actually, this is a very smart technique. This is what we call a shadowing technique as well. But the biggest outcome that comes with this is that you always tend to feel more natural, more spontaneous. And guess what? Of course, environment matters. And since we're not in the English speaking environment, then I feel like we have a bigger advantages right now. For example, we use social media, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, right? These are some of the best platforms that we can practice English in. For example, if you're reading Facebook post, make sure that it is written in English. And if you are watching YouTube videos, make sure that you're subscribed to some of the most amazing English content. For example, a nice podcast or some English news channels. Similarly, if you're scrolling through TikTok most of the time, then I would suggest subscribe or follow some English fancy, entertaining content. So what happens is that when you're listening and watching and reading all these kind of different English posts, you are automatically your brain is actually interacting, cognitively with the new immersion, especially like the videos, the listening, the podcast, and all of a sudden, you are improving naturally. You'll start to see the transformation happen, and that's exactly what clicked for me. Like that's the whole thing that I'm speaking English without really going into any English speaking country, without really interacting too much. It's only because I've been watching English content and then I've been practicing it with my friends. And by the way, a lot of the times they don't take it nicely because nobody here in Pakistan, nobody speaks English. Like you don't see people normally talking in English, so you'll start to see a little bit of intimidation. But I suggest that you keep talking, you keep practicing English, especially with the people that you know. For example, your friends, or if you're from college or university, make sure that you talk to your professors in English. So yeah, so always focus on the practical side of the language. Don't really stick to the long grammar theoretical side, because what happens is that when we are really focused so much on the grammar side, like the tenses, the parts of speech, most of the times we're almost learning nothing. Like that's the one thing that I've learned is that when you're focused so much on the theoretical side, all of a sudden you start to lose the momentum when you speak because you're so cautious of making mistakes. And all of a sudden you're so allergic to speaking in a very effortless and smooth way because you're thinking that, oh my God, I'm going to ruin it. And that's a big problem that I see with a lot of students. So always focus on the practical side of learning. The next step is always try to record yourself, record your audio. And this is something that really helped me in my English learning journey because when I record myself and when I'm hearing back my voice, all of a sudden I start to notice like the mistakes that I'm making, the areas where I'm actually fumbling, the areas where I'm really scrambling for words, or some of the biggest blunders that I'm making with grammar. So yeah, you will start to see yourself. And by the way, it's quite stressful. It's not easy if you're just starting out, especially recording your voice and that also in English. So you might feel a little irritating at first, but this is common, and but you have to do it. This is like super super important, especially if you're just like starting out and you want to really improve that speaking part of your English. So always try to record yourself. And by the way, with recording, of course, listening also plays a pivotal role in your English speaking. So make sure that when you're listening to podcast, or for example, if you are a football fan, make sure that you listen to Peter Drury's commentary. If you're watching English news, watch some Joe Rogan shows, some other guys as well. But make sure that one thing that I want to mention is, of course, TED Talks. TED Talks really are some of the best, or with like wonderful speakers, and they mostly have a very profound level of vocabulary that they're using. And I feel like these are like some of the best places that you can go to and really capture those expressions. And also, it really helps your listening power as well. Like when you're like talking to someone, you'll start to feel more natural when you like when you're used to this kind of rigorous listening. It really makes you ruthless. So you'll start to see a great impact in your speaking. The next step is, of course, try to focus on one area at a time. So if you're struggling with your grammar, and I've seen a lot of students when they're speaking, of course, there's just so much that pops out. But um, the smartest way is, of course, stick to one area, one part of your grammar that you're struggling with. Because if you go for an entire crash course, you might fall out on so many of the other aspects of your speaking. For example, you won't feel the motivation to speak because you will think that your grammar sucks. And as a result, you will just focus so much on the grammar side that almost all of a sudden you won't have the impetus to speak. So always just focus on the one area that you are really struggling with, and then when you solve that out, go for another area that you want to solve out. So with that, things will kind of solve out nicely and more effortlessly, and that's what you need to do. And the last tip I want to share is, of course, speak slowly. Try to focus more on the accuracy side than the speed. So I've seen many of my students, they try to rush when they are speaking. They want to have that incredible lightning speed. And of course, you're going to get there, but especially if you're just starting out and if you're facing some grammar mistakes, then the best way is, of course, to speak with so much calm, cool, and collectiveness. If you're speaking in a very natural, calm way, then it's easy to like really not make those grammar mistakes, and you'll start to feel more comfortable. So I recommend this valuable suggestion to everyone, especially to my students as well. So thank you so much. And these are some of the most important tips that I wanted to share, especially for speaking flawlessly without making any grammar mistakes. Again, I want to just shout out to everyone. Please, even if you're making grammar mistakes, that's not a big problem. Just keep practicing, keep speaking English, because the more mistakes that you make, I mean, the easier it gets for you to really overcome and become that, flawless speaker. So thank you so much, and God bless you. And if you like this video, please subscribe, and I'll see you in another video. Thank you.